So now, what is lifestyle medicine? So lifestyle medicine is like this newer field of medicine where you can prioritize lifestyle changes, therapeutic, evidence-based lifestyle changes that where when you give somebody, it's like giving them a prescription and they're expected to drop their cholesterol levels, drop their high blood pressure levels at a certain amount. And so the six pillars of lifestyle medicine in which there's evidence in all of them are um, diet and nutrition, which is like primarily eating plants and not too much and not processed foods and stuff. Physical, and I put cognitive activity, um, emotional well-being or managing stress well, so it's stress, anxiety, depression, social connectedness and purpose, and sleep, and then avoiding toxic substances. And I also put environments. So things like, wearing your seatbelts and but toxic environments in your life, whatever it is, but also toxic substances. And I include sugar in that. Okay. I also wrote a book called Guidebook to Ace the Lifestyle Medicine Board. So again, another part of me is that I am dyslexic and I read at a 19 percentile level. But my comprehension in auditory and my pattern recognition and logic is very high. Those are all at like 99 percentile level, but just like words on a page to my brain, it's like slower. So I like tables and I like charts, but the book for studying for lifestyle medicine is like just like prose. You know what I mean? And so I actually, with my study buddies who are here for the boards, which I've never met them in person, but they're awesome. We wrote this book, Guidebook to Ace the Lifestyle Medicine Boards, and it's all just tables and charts, which we turned our study notes into this book. And now it's pretty popular. We get a lot of sales. There's a second version now. This is the first version. I wanted to include, all three of us. In the second version, it's just me and Jessica who continued editing. And, it has a lot of the mistakes corrected, all the stuff. So, and it's $10 cheaper. So that was good. That was a good project. And I also teach the only US based board review course in lifestyle medicine. So the last 2 years, I had about 24 people in each course. And this year I'll also teach it. And I just do that on my own as well. Again, these are all resources that I wish I had when I was studying. And in this course, I sort of like just tell you what to focus on for the test and, tell you how, like, I do like 2 days of just practice questions of question set in the style on the test. So that's the second thing I do. And then I also started, which is like the most exciting thing, it's a digital tech startup where you have all of the lifestyle medicine recommendations for free at your fingertips. You could search for anything based on any diagnoses. And then we're integrating all of these into different EHRs. So we have the go ahead with 3 or 4 EHRs right now. We're working with Yale to get it into Epic, maybe. Who knows how that's going to end up. You never know with these health systems. And we're talking to like Harvard. And if you're interested in this in your health system, please let me know. But the way it works is like, you can assign an action plan here, and then the patient will automatically get resources if you click this down arrow here that goes with that action item. And you could do customized ones as well. Like if you've talked to the person about something about their stress and like, talking to my mom helps, then maybe you can assign this. And it's like a prescription that you give them. And then you could currently you can copy this and paste it into your EHR. And all of this you could use for free. And they all have references. Like I said, every single thing I do is evidence-based. So they all have references for why that was recommended. And you can search for more and add more. The patient will get an app and they could just indicate what they've done, what they're thinking about, still not started, and what they've finished. Okay, so I've gotten through that. Now I'm just going to talk about my philosophies, and I'm going to open it up to questions. Because the people who showed up, you should get your questions answered. And so I wanted to tell you this because you have to understand where I'm coming from when I answer these questions. And so these are my philosophies. A lot of these I've had since childhood. This is just how I was. One of my philosophies is a penny saved is a penny earned. So I don't just like spend money because, oh, like my time is valuable. Like, I mean, I do have 2 little kids and I will consider that. But when they're in school or daycare or whatever, I'm gonna do the thing if I can do it and not just spend money to solve the problem. Um, and then the other one is if they can do it, I can do it. So I don't think of anything like, oh, like hospital credentialing or whatever credentialing, insurance credentialing is a big one. We might not have ever learned to do it, but let me tell you, It's just a Google search away and you can figure it out. It's if somebody else can do it, you can do it. I mean, I hope all of you are probably physicians. You can figure out pretty much anything in this entire process, especially now with ChatGPT. You could ask any question you want and you can do it. If anybody else can do it, you can do it. And then I do as much as I can myself and only hire if I run out of time. So I was doing my own medical billing because I did billing as a high schooler. Again, you can learn to do it, but I had that experience. But when I ran out of time and I needed to schedule patients into those slots, then I would hire somebody. So like those kinds of things, you could hire somebody to do. And like, hire as cheap as you can to start. So I have a virtual assistant that's $7 an hour. Well, it started at $7 an hour. Their pay goes up every 6 months, but like you could hire, at a very, whatever rate, and then keep the good employees, I would say. Like don't try to keep hiring because that's stressful on its own. And then don't spend on advertising too much. That's my philosophy. I love my word of mouth patients, and I did not spend to reach my 300 patients as fast as possible. I still don't have 300 patients, and I'll be at 3 years in April. And I'm okay with that because I like each and every single one of them. And when it doesn't work out, I'm okay for them to like leave. I don't have a contract with any of them, so they don't have to pay 3 months up front. I just want the right set of 300 patients that they work with me and I work with them well. And that's okay if somebody I don't get offended and I don't want to advertise. The reason why is because then people will only see the little amount that I've advertised and they'll think it's one thing and they don't think it's the other. But I did pound the pavement, for the first 100 patients because you need to do some. So I gave free talks at the senior center where it was like, I would be there. I attended health fairs. You could give talks to your chamber of commerce. There's like a lot of ways that you could do this where you could be there and explain what you want and what you want to see, you know, with you in person. And I did try out like a little coupon booklet just because I wanted to support like a local couple that was doing that. But it was like $100 or whatever. I didn't invest too much. You should put your name up on Google, obviously. And so that sometimes, depending on how you do that, you could pay more or pay less. Um, and then I'm flexible in my processes. So a lot of times if a process doesn't seem like it's working, I'll think of a better way. I'll try to think of like something else that's different. I'm not like, oh, this is how I set it up, so I have to stick with it. A lot of people who start with an EHR, and I don't have a electronic health record, by the way, but a lot of people start with an EHR, they feel like they're stuck with it. But a lot of other people, they'll switch if it doesn't work for them. And that's probably the biggest challenge for anyone who's not flexible, so because you don't know how it's going to work for you, and there's so many things to choose from. So you have to be a little bit flexible when you're starting your own business, about your own processes. Excuse me. So the next thing is take my time in getting to my ideal patient number. I kind of already went through that. I love my word of mouth patients the best because they've heard about it from somebody else and they know what I'm about. And those have always just been my best patients. And then the next one is use technology. So I went to MIT. I'm not afraid of technology. I'll do as much as I can with the assistance of technology. And the last one is just have fun. If it's not fun for you, then this isn't like what you thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? And if it seems like I had a lot of options to start my own, weight loss or IV hydration or whatever it was. And I started them and then I stopped them because they weren't fun. I wasn't happy. They seemed like a good idea at the time. I never did it before, so it was worth a try. But I wasn't fun. Like what was fun for me was just this like lifestyle medicine clinic. This is all I do now. And I just do this, like I just do all the lifestyle medicine startup stuff. That's fun for me. Even though I make no money and I just spend money on that stuff, it's like I'm not gonna get burnt out and I know it. I could do this for 30 years. So because like the patient engagement, like I told you from the beginning of my background, that was what was fun for me. So, so that's kind of it. I don't really have much more in the way of slides. If you have questions, I'm happy to take the questions now. Did anybody?
Thank you
Yeah,
so much. That was
of
great.
course.
How do you like what do you do for like sending medications and ordering things if you don't have an EHR?
That's a good question. So I use my access. So Yale, in any system that uses Epic, they want you to place orders in their system. So I have to have a separate account for each place that I place orders with in their system. For ones that I don't place orders with in their system often, I will just write on my prescription pad, which I bought from Triple I, which you get like 1,000 prescription pads. I mean, like I'm on the third one or something. And so in the beginning, I was doing that a lot because I didn't have accounts with, I didn't know where I was going to be placing orders with a lot, but I happened to work right next to Yale. So Yale lets, again, like anyone, lets you have like a EC link, it's called. So you could contact any local hospital system that you have, and they will let you log in and just place orders. I have a separate one for Quest. For my imaging, I always have to send, if it's not Yale or, if it's not Yale imaging, then I have to send a prescription. Um, and and then yeah, like you could have, and then for medications, again, like um, Yale lets me like place orders. They have their own pharmacy now. Um, and so there's, and then you could always just send a fax, like you could write it out and send a fax digitally, but you could like, if you write it out in a prescription paper. But then there are also, I would recommend if you don't have access to something that does e-prescribe, I would really recommend getting an e-prescribe. And there are some that are just standalone e-prescribe systems. So you could, I don't have one, but you could look one up. I guess like there's,
And then how do you remember what you told the patient last time, what you're working on? Like what do you use as like the actual
yeah,
documentation for
that's a really good
yourself?
question. Yeah. So for lifestyle changes, I use my platform, and which is like all my patients are on an action plan, right? So like that's, and then for any medications, I just keep their medication list updated, and I will cross things out, like, and I'll just use the strike through. I have a Word document. I signed a BAA with OneDrive. It's HIPAA compliant. And so I could access the OneDrive wherever I am, and I could see like whatever their updated chart is. If they have a new diagnosis, I could just add it there. So it's not like the typical notes. So first of all, like another thing about that is that I'm like dyslexic, right? So like I can't read like so much that goes into each visit note. So each time they interact with them, I write the date, the time the interaction started, the time the interaction ended, and what kind of interaction it was, like text, phone number, and in person, virtual, phone, like I said, email care, whatever it was. And then I will write like a snippet or a note because I can't read like a whole visit note every time. And I can't read, like, I don't even want to read complete sentences. So I really just like my notes are for me. You know what I mean? And if somebody wants the notes, they're gonna have to read my notes the way it is. But the top of the whole document is their patient summary. So like if they get a new diagnosis, I'll actually write the date that this was diagnosed, and then if they have, and I'll write all the context around that. Um, and then I'll also do like I'll do their medication list or all their medical history, surgery list, their family history, social history, all the stuff is in their medical chart in the beginning. And that's kind of how I do it. But in the actual date and time of that, I won't I won't do, I'll just do like, what happened that single day. So I don't know. Does that make sense? Like at the top is what I keep updated. And this is what I've actually talked to quite a few people now that don't have EHRs because we kind of find each other. I don't know how, but like this is what a lot of them do. They have like a template for all their patients at the top of their document. And then they have a running document of like whatever they've done on a certain date. And then they'll just keep the top updated. So there is some double documentation, but there's double documentation in regular EHR as well. Like if you see a patient and you diagnose them with something new and you add it to their problem list, you still have to talk about it in your note. You know what I mean? Um, to some extent that this is what you did. To sometimes. But anyways, so this question, can you go into using insurance and the two pricing tiers and how you follow up on reimbursements? How did you get first time patients? Did you see a lot of okay. So did the first person have follow-up questions to the EHR? I also make an
No,
Excel
I think I
spreadsheet.
get it. Thank you.
Yeah, I also
Appreciate
make
it.
an Excel spreadsheet for each of my patients, and one tab is vital signs and their waist circumference, their hip circumference, their BMI, all that stuff, their ASCVD, and the other tab is their labs. So I track about 20 labs on each of my patients to start, and then each patient, like if it's a male, they'll also get PSA, and if it's something else, they'll also get, like they'll whatever. If somebody has like something else they're trending, like somebody has, I don't know, some kind of platelet disorder, then I'll try trend platelets and stuff like that too. Well, platelets is one of my initial ones, but you get the idea. Like I can add whatever I want to that Excel spreadsheet. And I get all of their records, like I'll look at all of it in the first visit. My first visit's 2 hours long. So I do all of that then. So can you go into using insurance and the two pricing tiers and how you follow up on reimbursements? So so I did apply to be in network with insurances just to be able to like, one, I wanted to do primary lifestyle medicine, and I didn't think people should be penalized to pay $100 a month if they're also paying for insurance. But two, I wasn't going to fight it if your insurance was like, no, I'm not, you can't be in the network. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So, so for people whose insurances that I bill, it's only $25 a month. So that's not concierge level. Concierge level is like $275 a month plus what they bill insurance. And then if they're just concierge without insurance, then it's usually like, at least 3,000 a year, and mine's only 1,200 a year with $100 a month. So if you have insurance, then you end up paying an extra $300 a year plus whatever your insurance charges. So then they will pay if they want to use their insurance and they have a high deductible, they will have to pay that to me. Or if they have like $10 co-payments or something, then they just pay that to me as well. And so those are the two tiers. So one is with insurance if they want me to bill it, and the other one is without. It's $100 a month. And how did I get to my first 10 patients? So my first patient was somebody who I used to see every day because they work at the daycare, and they would ask me all these medical questions. And they would be like, I promise you I'll be your first patient if you ever start your own clinic. So those people that just like come to you all the time, like those can be your first patients. And so I only had one of those. So that was my first patient. And then I posted on the town's Facebook group about my clinic, and I focused on the lifestyle medicine aspect because that's the kind of patients I wanted. And somebody picked up on it and was like, oh, this is like different than a regular doctor, and they're still an MD and all this stuff. And so they wrote about it in a newspaper article. And that's how I got like two and three and maybe even five and six or seven and eight. But then I got like a few patients from their referrals too. But then it was mostly just like going to the health fairs, going to the senior talks, and then people talking about me, and then posting on the Facebook group again, and like different places wherever I could. Oh, I posted on the local physicians group too to tell them that this clinic exists and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I got like a few of my earlier patients as well. Some of my earliest patients were physicians because they came from that group. Um, and I remember one month it was like I got 11 patients. That was my first month that I got like so many patients, like 11. That was in November, so 2 months after I had stopped doing emergency medicine full time. I still do a couple shifts a month, but that that month I was like asking those patients like, how did you hear about me? And a lot of them are just like Google search too. So you have to have the right words on your Google search, like SEO type stuff. So yeah, and then I was doing half an hour free meet and greets in the beginning because I didn't know what my shtick was. Like I didn't know, like I wanted time to like talk to people and understand what they were looking for and stuff. But then when I started getting a lot of traction, I just cut it down to 15 minutes, and that's enough. You don't even have to do free meet and greets if you don't want to. But in the beginning, it helps you to understand your market. Who's coming, who's signing up, why are they signing up? Is it your right patient that's signing up? And then in the end, if you don't have time because you have to schedule your patients in, then you should just do that. And then how did you get your first? Okay, did you see a lot of signups initially? No, I was very slow. Because like I think my first month I had like three patients by the end of it, and then maybe like six patients by the second. So it was slow. But again, I was working my full shifts at the emergency department, and I was mostly setting up processes, like signing up for things. Like you could wait until if you don't currently practice in primary care, so you don't have a pool to pull from, then you can wait to like sign up for your EFACs until then, sign up for this until you could, because all that stuff you'll have time to do that while you're sitting in your clinic. Um, yeah, so that's kind of like my first few months. And I changed my processes a lot. I changed my website a lot because initially I had a track for just direct primary care patients and then a track for just lifestyle medicine patients. And I realized like I really don't want to practice primary care. I just want to do lifestyle medicine primary care. So that took away the direct primary care, and all of my patients get the same care from me now. Doesn't matter if you have insurance, if you don't have insurance, everyone gets unlimited visits, unlimited texts, whatever it is. I don't care if your insurance covers it or not, I'll still treat you the same. And that's what I tell them the $25 a month is for. But yeah, and it's just, yeah, that's kind of how I changed it up. And you have that right. Like you could change things up however you want, you know. And thank you so much for this webinar. How did you deal with the conflict of interest disclosures while you still worked? Oh, I was very transparent. I've always been very transparent. Like I don't know, I have a problem. But like I was very much like I went to Yale and I was like, I love lifestyle medicine. My patients love it and they emerge from it. This is what I've been doing. Can I start a lifestyle medicine clinic here? This is what I want to do. And they were like, sure, you could start it, but like we're gonna make you in charge of the lifestyle medicine working group. Every single lifestyle medicine boarded physician, I searched on their database of the American Board of Lifestyle Medicine and I found all of them. And I contacted them all. I made a part of this working group. I was like, we're going to get this done. I met with all the leaders of the local, of the primary care department, the leaders of like all the departments, try to get the fellowship funded. And 6 months later, I went to the person that I was reporting to and I was like, I don't feel like I'm any closer to starting lifestyle medicine. And they were like, oh, practice. I said practicing lifestyle medicine. And he was like, no, it's going to be 3 years before we have like a clinic in lifestyle medicine. I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I need to do this now. Like this is what I was trying to do now. So I actually had to leave. I was like, okay, so I'm gonna start my own thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm gonna do this. And I was like, I need to do this now. And I was very transparent. And so because I work an hour away, my emergency department is actually an hour away. I don't work at the local. I know I live right next to Yale, but I don't work at this Yale clinic, Yale emergency department. I don't really like to work with residents, so I don't do that. And that's something I know about me. You know, you might be different. I don't have anyone shadow here. I don't have any residents, medical students, anything. So you might be totally different. But I didn't do that. So I work at one of their community sites. So it wasn't a problem in terms of like my contract said that I think it was like, 20 minutes or 30. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was very transparent from the beginning about it. And I put it on all my disclosures. I put it on everything. And what else? And I never talked about it in the emergency department. I would talk about lifestyle medicine and I would tell people about it. And if they asked me to have my own clinic, then I would just say, like, at this point, I do a lot less of that because I don't want them to ask me. But I would like that when I was thinking about it, I would just be like, I'm thinking about it. But I was very careful to be like, it's so far away from you. You wouldn't want to travel there. You know what I mean? Like, I was very careful to not, because it's like an hour away. I mean, some of the nurses I work with love what I do and they wanted to come, but it's too far for them. You know what I mean? So like it's okay. I like the fact that I had to travel an hour for emergency medicine. It's nice to do primary care in the town you live in because you're like kind of like a member of the community, but it's really nice to do emergency medicine far away from where you live, at least from my perspective. Because I don't want to be going grocery shopping and then seeing, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's nice. Okay. And I've also disclosed all the startup stuff I've done, like everything. Thank you for educating others on DPC. I have a DPC, understand each DPC is different. We say, if you see when yeah, you have not seen all. I personally like to have an EMR. Yeah. And that's totally fine. And field notes are important. I also send after every visit to my patient. Oh yeah. So my patients can see all of my notes because I could just share their OneDrive with them. So they can see 100% of everything, but they don't like that. They just like to see the action plan, like what I've told them to do. And they really like that. So is it possible to do only cash model and not going through insurance and only doing lifestyle medicine without primary care? Yeah, so you can do that. So like I think like for people who are interested in just doing like lifestyle medicine coaching, which I like. I mean, I don't send my patients to a coach because I actually really like the ideas of behavior change and getting to know my patients. And I'm very non-judgmental if they tell me what they want to do and what their life goals are, what their health goals are. And I like to be like that. And so I don't, that's like one of the things that I get joy out of. So I don't send my patients to a coach, but I do their primary care because I don't know, I like medicine. I think it's all tied together too. And um, I didn't want to feel like I was overstepping their primary care. I just wanted to be their primary care. So that was just my choice. But you could do whatever you want. You could do a coaching business. You could do like just webinar series. You could do whatever you want. From that perspective, how about only doing virtual visits? Yeah. So I paid for the BA for the business side of Zoom, and I did the BA, I signed the BAA with them. One thing I wanted to say if you were trying to save money is that you could do Doximity, Doxime or Doxy.me or whatever. They have like a Zoom, they have like a HIPAA compliant televisit as well. And also they also have free eFax. So I wanted to mention that if you want to do that. I don't use them just because I started with Humble Facts. I think they like plant a tree for everything. So I already had the facts and then I like Zoom. So I just kind of just pay for that more, which is against my first philosophy of penny saved is a penny earned. But I don't know. I like trees. Okay. And how about only doing, yeah, so that's virtual visits. You could do whatever, you could do whatever you want. So just so you know, I don't know if you've seen this, but like you could keep up with the American Telemedicine Association, ATA. They put out publications all the time about what the latest is in telemedicine. So they've changed all the rules this year. So you kind of have to look at that and just keep up with that. If you do bill insurance for only virtual visits. If you don't, then you could just do whatever cash pay you want. And if any company does lifestyle medicine malpractice insurance. So malpractice is tough to get just lifestyle medicine. I don't think any because they do have different fields in malpractice. Like you could sign up for whatever. Plastic surgery is a big one, like whatever, OB-GYN. But I've never seen one that had lifestyle medicine as a field. And so what they end up putting you in is primary care. And then just today I saw a post on this and somebody said that they added a coaching rider. I don't consider what I do to be coaching for I have primary care. I mean, that's like more than coaching, but I don't know if that's, somebody might have more experience with that. I use Coveris for my insurance and I have an agent. In Connecticut, you're required to have an agent, so I have an agent for that. Um, oh yeah, so I do have website scheduling. I cannot handle people texting me to schedule. Like that's not I do that already for my like blind patients or my whatever, like there's elderly patients that don't use phones or text or whatever, and that's enough. Like I can't do more than that. It's that and I love those patients, so I'm never gonna say like I'm not gonna take those patients because I really like taking care of them and being there for them because just like they can't schedule online for me, they also can't get the healthcare they need a lot of times, except for the system I've created. So like that's that's why I like them, but at the same time, it's like that's a lot. Like I can't do anymore. Any admin stuff that I could use technology for, I will 100% do that whenever I can. Yeah, I do manage their full primary care. So even though I was boarded in emergency medicine, I did the lifestyle medicine board, so that does the chronic care side of things. And then anything else that I feel like, and then first of all, it's on my website. I was boarded in emergency medicine, and I through insurance I put general practice, which you only need 1 year of intern to do general practice, right? And then everything else is USPSTF. So you could look up USPSTF like maintenance stuff, and then you could just put that in. And we actually in our app have an API with them, so it will automatically generate all the recommendations based on all the patient's qualifiers. So it's really nice to be able to for me to be able to do early detection and talk to patients who never got a mammogram in 30 years, but then I've talked to them about it and then they want to do it just because of the relationship that I've been able to have. I have a lot of those patients that don't see doctors ever, and then they'll come to me. And then they'll be texting me like, "Oh, I had such a great time, like I want to come back," and they want to see me all the time. I really like that because I was able to make a difference in their lives. And otherwise, without me, they wouldn't have had a doctor at all for another 30 years. Um, okay, so my fee schedule is just that, like the $100 a month for uninsured and the 25 for if I can bill your insurance. And yeah, it's very, very common for people to, oh, you were talking to somebody else. Oh, I'm sorry. It's very common for people to be very transparent about their fees in DPC. And I love the transparency in DPC, direct primary care as well. Zoom, you have to sign a BAA with Zoom. And yeah, you could use it. You could it's pro patient tech. I'll send an email out, but it's pro patient tech and .com, and you could just create an account and start using it. But yeah, I don't know where we are on time. Does anybody else have any questions? So most things like Google Workspace. So I pay for Microsoft 360. Google Workspace and Zoom, which a lot of that you could argue you could just put all into like one, if you wanted to. But I just like Excel. I don't like Google Sheets. And I like so I paid for the things that I do like. Like it's not like I don't pay. Like I don't like any of the EHRs, like they do things a very specific way. That's my way. Like I told you about like my dyslexia and stuff, but like it's up to you how you do it. And then you could decide whatever you want to do from there. What else? Yeah, so I contacted that's very common for direct primary care people to be opted out of Medicare. And to be honest, if I didn't do lifestyle medicine, I would 100% opt out of Medicare. I I like my Medicare patient. I like my seniors. I like to be able to offer them this option in health. And I don't want to penalize them. And a lot of them don't get any other income. They're fixed income seniors. So I feel like I can't, you know what I mean? Like, so, because I want to do lifestyle medicine, I will take them. And so I won't opt out. They can see me unlimited times at 100 per month. And one thing to note about that is, nobody wants to engage with their health that much. Everybody wants their health to be there in the background, but nobody's like hyper focused on it all minutes of every day. And if they are, you probably don't want those people as your patients anyways. But like I do because I'm like I feel like I can help them, but you might not. But anyways, so for the $100 a month, it's like that's enough. Like, I that's what I chose that price point because of how much money I wanted to make at 300 patients. And I know my overhead, I estimated my overhead. So taking that out, it's like that's what I would that's what I think is fair for me. That's what I want to make out of this. So that's why I chose that. It's not because of any other reason. Like this is the max I could make out of somebody. Like I didn't do it that way. So, and that's how most people are encouraged to choose their price points in DPC. Um, so that's actually a DPC thing. Do they pay anything extra for each visit? No, it's like 100% covered. So I don't even make money off of medications. I don't make money off of labs. So they do have to order those things for me. Like, let's say you don't have insurance. If you have insurance, you could just use your insurance for those things. But even people who have insurance, their co-payments for some medications is more than what they would have paid just paying for it directly, by the way. And retail pharmacies know this, and they're not required to give you the direct pricing unless you directly ask for that, by the way. So anyways, back to the question. Um, do they pay extra? No, so I think it's unethical to send patients for things and order things for patients or do whatever. Even though I will lose money on credit card fees, I will not charge them extra for those things, and I will not make money off of those things. My services are 100% covered in those things. So, how do you deal with patients you want to discharge? I don't have any of those. I just, if they don't agree with my boundaries, they will self-leave. I've had a patient who was calling me at 9 p.m. at night to like do various medical things for like people who aren't even my patients, like people that they interact with and stuff. And I'm like, this has to stop. You know what I mean? Like this isn't what this is. Like I'm not like somebody that you could just call for those kinds of things. And because everybody has a way to reach me for emergencies. And I was like, you have to like only use this for if you yourself are having a medical emergency that you think that I can help with, because if you're having a stroke or a heart attack, you need to go to the emergency room. You know what I mean? Like that I want to be there. And for those, I do want to be there for you. But everything else can wait till the next business day, and you cannot use this for that. And that only happened once so far. And the patient still stayed with me and they stayed within the boundaries. And I love the patient. I think they just didn't get it that like whatever it was that I was offering. But like nobody could do that. Nobody could be on like at 2 a.m. all the time just because somebody thought of something. You know what I mean? Like that's not possible. And I don't have a lot of overusers. I had one person that was like a little odd, and I would say like he was a little obsessive about his health, and he came in and made sure to get like his first visit and second visit within the month and then canceled. And I was like, that's totally okay. You know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily need those kinds of patients in my panel. Like he was very calculated and also like he ended up not going for the labs because he couldn't calculate exactly how much those would cost because he didn't know what if the insurance company would cover it because they don't tell you up front if they're going to cover it or not. You just get a bill afterwards. And because he felt so uncomfortable about that, he didn't even go for labs. So it was like one of those things that like it's okay. When those patients leave, don't think of it. Just be happy. Just it was good to see them like for the time that you had a moment in their life. You made a difference, hopefully, and then otherwise, even if somebody doesn't pay and they leave and they're like, I'm not paying my bill, it's okay. Money is always there to be made. It's not worth your stress. Like that's how I do it. You know what I mean? Like you might get upset or whatever. I don't want anybody to feel used, but I'm not saying that, but I just think that that kind of situation is not worth my stress. Do they have your personal phone number? No, they don't. I have a separate cell phone for clinic, which still rings after hours if they dial like twice within 3 minutes for me to get me as an emergency. And that's in bottom of all my emails. I tell them all that up front. Oh yeah, no problem. No, they don't pay through my website. I have a separate system for that. So like I said, I don't have an EHR, so I do a lot of stuff separately. I don't set boundaries ahead of time. I think everybody knows, like I just tell them like for an emergency, like, text me, email me, call me, all you want. It won't make a sound, just so you know. But there is a way to reach me in emergencies, and I will deal with all of the messages on the next business day. That's all I say. Just so they know what to expect, because they have to know when you're going to address the thing that you text them. You know what I mean? And then it says, and do you set boundaries ahead of time? Yeah, so like um, I do set, like just that. I just tell them that. And do they pay through website? No, I do world pay through authorize.net. And the fee is very low. It's like less than 2%, but there is like I think there's like some kind of monthly or whatever. And you could set it up to do credit card. You could do whatever you want. And that's what I set up because I was just looking for the cheapest thing. Oh, so what website? I have set up several websites before. And I know enough to know that I think somebody could set up the framework for me and then I can just edit the content. So I paid somebody $100 to tell them what I wanted for my framework. Like I wanted a appointment page, I wanted this page, I wanted what page. I chose Wix for my website builder. And then I just had them I paid them $100 on Upwork. Upwork is a great site to get freelancers. Like that's how I got my design, my logos, and whatever it is. And I know that saved me like just a ton of time, and frustration because it like doesn't go where I want it to go sometimes. So I have done all my own websites before, but because I've done it, I just felt like I know what my strengths are, and then I just edit the content at my leisure. Oh yeah. I could send out I could is there a way to like copy this entire text thing and send that out? I don't know. Well, I'll figure it out. But I can send out your email address.